Generating a random AI image takes seconds, but getting a specific, brand-consistent asset is a different challenge. Without strict control, the results are wildly unpredictable. In this breakdown, we are going to move past typing blind into a text box. We will engineer a parameterized, reusable prompt template from scratch. By the end, you will have the architecture for a dynamic, multi-panel social media infographic that maintains strict character continuity across every frame. Relying on vague descriptors leaves your results up to chance. Building a structured prompt architecture is how you stop experimenting and start engineering professional visuals. To build a reliable template, we start with 3 foundational pillars: use cases, styles, and subjects. Under use cases, we select the infographic format. Next, we lock in cinematic from styles and portrait from subjects, merging them into a single unified block. Locking in these specific structural categories right at the start prevents the AI from filling in the blanks with its own generic bias. Conversational language is too imprecise for complex multimodal models. Asking for a nice photo gives the system too much room to guess. To override the AI's default composition choices, we communicate using strict photographic vocabulary. This means dictating depth and focus with exact camera specifications. We instruct the model to simulate an 85mm lens at f2.2 to create a shallow depth of field. Then we set the physical lighting parameters. Instead of asking for a mood, we specify the exact conditions, like a direct, hard camera flash in a dark room or golden hour sunlight. Finally, we require physical realism. We add commands for visible micropores, PBR materials, and subtle film grain to force the rendering of actual surface textures. Look at the difference. On the left is a conversational request. On the right, an output engineered with strict parameters: deep shadows, realistic skin textures, and accurate lighting. Translating an aesthetic desire into optical constraints forces the AI to render a deliberate photograph rather than an algorithmic guess. To make these outputs useful for a project, we have to enforce rigid visual consistency, so every image aligns with an existing brand identity. This means defining exact rules, whether you need a sleek 3D liquid glass bento grid layout or the textured lines of a vintage Japanese woodblock print. Once the style is locked, we face the hardest challenge in AI storytelling: maintaining the exact identity of a human subject across multiple images. To solve this, we use the grid technique. Formatting the output as a 2x2 grid creates a structural framework for continuity. We feed the AI unchanging physical traits, instructing it to apply these details uniformly to all 4 quadrants. We write this directly into the core prompt architecture, explicitly commanding the model to maintain strict identity consistency between panels. Here is the result. This cinematic collage features the exact same woman, remaining identical even as she moves through 4 completely different architectural locations and lighting setups. Combining rigid stylistic constraints with the grid technique successfully overrides the random character morphing that usually ruins AI visual narratives. Writing a highly complex 300-word prompt for every single image is incredibly inefficient. Instead, we use dynamic arguments. By isolating and enclosing specific target words in brackets, we separate the core subject from the surrounding technical architecture. You can structure these isolated variables using raycast snippet syntax or basic JSON formatting, allowing you to seamlessly plug in new information. When you swap a single dynamic argument, the generated subject changes instantly, but the underlying photographic and stylistic parameters remain perfectly intact. Parameterization shifts your workflow toward architectural control, creating a scalable and automated asset pipeline. Now we compile the structural, technical, and parameterized components of our master prompt and process the final execution. This 4-panel educational infographic is the result. It features a locked, consistent character, a unified artistic style, and properly integrated text layouts, meeting the strict criteria for a professional visual asset. Engineering a precision-controlled template provides a permanent, reusable tool for any future project. To extract these curated templates and integrate dynamic arguments into your own workflow, access the open-source Awesome Nano Banana Pro Prompts repository on GitHub.